Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Nick and this is On the Dharma, a series of introductory video lectures where we take some of the material that we learn on Buddhism and some other Buddhist concepts, and maybe some sources from outside of Buddhism, and try to apply them in mindfulness practice and in some way that will improve our daily life experience in some way. So the last couple of weeks we've been working on breathing exercises in order to achieve some sort of meditative state. This week we're going to move instead toward a different kind of meditation exercise. In this one, we're going to continue to focus on the center of the abdomen, the Sea of Qi, if you remember correctly, the Sea of Qi. And we're going to, instead of breathing to and from there, while we still do want to imagine that that's what's going on, instead of focusing on our breath, we're going to have some sort of visualization going on. And ideally, this will have the same effect of relaxing our bodies and adding some sort of relaxation to our mind. Remember that the body and the mind are inherently and originally connected. This is a teaching of the Buddha. This is a teaching of monks everywhere. This is a meditative practice. This is the first tenet of Aikido, Ki Aikido, which I practice, a martial art. So this is widespread in East Asian philosophy, not just Buddhism. And so remember first that that is a fact that we're working from. This is in opposition to Cartesian dualism, which is basically the idea that Descartes came up with, that an individual is a mind that is occupying a body, that they're separate entities. And in Asian philosophy, it's the opposite. The mind and the body are the same thing. So if we work from that assumption, then the idea is that if we relax our body and if we achieve calmness with it, then we can achieve relaxation and calmness with our mind necessarily. Similarly, if we can't relax our body, then we can't really relax our mind either. And it works the other way too. If we can achieve relaxation and calmness in the mind, we can achieve it in the body. And key breathing, what we did last time, that addresses the physical side very, very aptly. It addresses calming the body so that you can calm the mind very well. What we're going to do this week goes the other direction, in my view, and it achieves calmness in the mind so that you can achieve calmness in the body. But remember that these lead into each other and they go back and forth. So whenever you achieve calmness with one, you'll achieve calmness with the other, and things will work. The whole experience can happen. So we're going to take that Sea of Qi and we're going to visualize one of two things. The first thing that we can visualize, the first option, is going to be infinite expansion. Infinite expansion. So imagine your mindfulness, imagine your mind-body experience encompassing an amount of space. You're going to start with your body. You're going to feel the boundaries of your body and the rest of the world. Then you're going to expand it to feeling the boundaries of the room, and beyond that, the rest of the world. And then maybe the building that you're in. And then maybe the street that you're on. And then maybe the county that you're in. And then the state. And then the country. And then the continent. And then the hemisphere. And then the entire world. And then the solar system. And then the galaxy. And then the local group, the group of galaxies in our neighborhood. And then the entire universe. And then when you have reached the point where you cannot expand anymore, you're going to continue forward. Your mind will continue outward. Okay? So the point is, you imagine this expansion originating in the Sea of Qi from this infinitely small point in the Sea of Qi, and then it expands ever larger. And then when it reaches the limits of the knowable universe, it continues to get larger. Your mindfulness becomes larger than the universe. Okay, that's a very pertinent and it's a very nice visualization, and it works for me very often. The other option is to imagine infinite concentration. I don't want to say constriction. I don't want to say contraction. I want to say concentration, because constriction is kind of like choking somebody, right? And contraction kind of is like flexing your muscles, contracting your muscles. So I don't want to say any of those things. What I want to say is concentration, because it just slowly gets more and more concentrated into a point. So from this, we're going to go the opposite direction. We're going to experience mindfulness encompassing the largest possible space that we can. And then we're going to imagine that concentrating at an infinitely small point that is constantly becoming half its own size in the sea of chi. So it starts out larger and it gets smaller by half, right? So we start with the earth and we go from earth to hemisphere, from hemisphere to continent, from continent to state, from state to county, from county to town, from town to street, from street to building, from building to room, from room to your body, from your body to your sea of chi. And then once you get to the sea of chi, centered in that space 4 to 6 inches below your belly button, you're going to imagine it getting smaller by half. And you just imagine this constant half, 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 half. This constant half. And when it gets smaller than you can possibly imagine, than you can possibly comprehend, it continues onward. Your mind continues onward, even further than that. I generally don't recommend for you to do both of these at the same time, because that's just a lot to focus on, and it's kind of not really possible for our minds to really focus on those things well at the same time. So choose one or the other and sit with it for however long you would like. I'd like to make some notes on posture. Generally, you can sit cross-legged or you can sit on your ankles for this exercise, but make sure that you're sitting up nice and straight and that you're not tense in the back or the core. Whenever you're tense in the core and you try to meditate, I'm sure that it gets a little bit exhausting, and I'm sure that it gets a little bit weird for you at certain points, and that's because of the tension in your core. It prevents you from having a deep breath, and it prevents you from naturally letting your body rest in its own posture. When you have the tension, it gets tiring. If you have to keep a muscle flexed for a long time, that gets exhausting. So try and sit in as relaxed a position as possible. In this setting, as well as in the breathing that we did before, you can also, remember, bring your hands up, move them back to open up your chest a little bit, and then bring them straight down. That way your shoulders are back and you're able to expand your lungs as much as you possibly can in order to breathe. And then sit a little bit forward. Sit a little bit forward. Sitting back puts a lot of tension on your lower back and on your hips and whatever you're sitting on. If it's the ground, it'll put tension on your tailbone. If you're sitting on your feet, it'll put tension on your feet and your feet will go numb and hurt. Sit a little bit forward so that your weight falls kind of in the center of where you're sitting. It's going to fall a little bit in front of you. And that's going to help you sit longer. That's going to help you feel this a little bit better, so that you're not thinking like, okay, hemisphere, country, ow, my back. Where was I? Country, state, county, ow, my feet. You know what I mean? You don't want to be thinking those thoughts. You want to be focused as much as you can on the infinite expansion or the infinite concentration. Okay? So try that for 10 to 15 minutes a day if you can, and let me know what experiences you have. Write in the comments, write on a post on the page. Just tell me what kind of things happen, and if you have any questions and experiences you have, I'm happy and willing to discuss those with you and talk about them and share them on the page, because that's what this is for. This class, in addition to being, a way to deliver information to you, it's also a space for you to share your experiences and share how this is being put into practice by you and how it's changing your daily life. And so try this and enjoy it. Have fun with it. Remember also, when I was talking about the splotchy hands, that should also happen with this one. Again, that is not something that has to happen for you to do it right, but it is a good sign that you're on track. It is a good sign that you're on track, but you can do it right without that. Another thing I might mention is make sure that your posture stays the same. Okay, if you're thinking about infinite concentration, you don't want to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. You want to stay in that same posture. Similarly, if you are thinking about infinite expansion, you don't want to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, because that's just not comfortable. So try it out and let me know what happens. This should make you feel awake. It should make you feel alert, and it should clear your mind and get you ready to do the tasks of your day, and should feel good. Let me know how it goes. I hope that you've enjoyed this and taken something you can learn from. And I wish you all the best health and happiness and joy during the coronavirus pandemic and beyond. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.